Welcome to the Quick Tip video series through the Executive Advisory. Today we're going to talk about a company survival guide for caring for staff during the COVID-19 pandemic. First, here's a quote from Mark Cuban, an entrepreneur who's been talking quite a bit about what companies can do and should do for their employees. How companies treat employees during this pandemic will define their brand for decades. If you rushed in and somebody got sick, you were that company. If you didn't take care of your employees or stakeholders and put them first, you were that company. This is a critical time for us to get this right. There's a lot going on. Everybody's suffering or being impacted by this in one form or another, whether that's economical or health-wise or stress or emotional duress or separation. So as a company, really considering whether or not the experience that your employees, your stakeholders, and your clients have of you during this time is a positive one, is they're going to be looking for, did you do everything you could to support the people who have built your business? Or did you do everything you could to cut corners or cut costs and there was no focus on the caring for the people who create your success? We want to make sure that we do what we can during this time, even though things are very uncertain. The key hurdles that we're seeing clients deal with are how to prevent the spread of the illness, especially if you've got essential workers coming in. How do you coordinate healthy business operations, especially as the guidelines are changing on a day-to-day basis? And then making sure that you support morale and engagement, whether people are working from home or being overworked and putting in extra hours because they're essential. And then finally, how do you discuss the financial impact and employment concerns that people may have? So first, let's talk about preventing the spread of the illness. The easiest thing to do is just to follow along with the CDC guidelines. That may be changing every day, but checking out the website and making sure that your company is aligning with what their recommendations or requirements are is really important. Some highlights that we want to call out: communicate the seriousness of the issue, making sure that employees get that the company takes this seriously. Encourage stay at home for essential employees as soon as symptoms occur, making sure it's easy for them to know who to communicate, who to talk to, and what to look out for. Educate employees how they could be spreading the virus and how best to prevent it. And finally, implement a cleaning protocol to decrease the risk. This should include more than just washing hands and wiping down surfaces that you're working on. It should include areas that are high touch, or also things like cell phones, things that get kind of looked over, but carry quite a bit of germs if not taken care of. Next is, how do you coordinate healthy business operations? Well, you've got to get organized. Things are chaotic right now and not operating as normal. So some key actions to take to direct that traffic include identifying a workplace coordinator that's going to be the hub. Maybe it's a team, depending on how large the company is. That's going to be a hub of where the communication goes through all efforts that are connected to managing this process. So you at least have someone who's seeing the bigger picture and making sure that there's not redundant efforts or even worse, competing priorities going on here. Implement flexible sick leave and support policies and practices. This is not the time to be a stickler on things. There's a lot of unique situations and everyone's got different things going on at home as well as with work. Make sure that your policies match the current policies issued by state and federal legislation. It's one thing to check your HR employee handbook, but you want to make sure that you're up to date with whatever the state and federal are recommending or requiring. Come up with a contingency plan for a situation of spiked sick leaves and employee downtime. And that downtime could be due to the illness. It could be due to technology not supporting the work from home the way that they needed. And just even them having to support their families. And on that note, make sure that you're connecting employees to any resources that your company has available. That includes any employee assistance programs, but also if there's any local or community support centers or resources. Next is managing the COVID-19 positive results. How do you navigate the gray when an employee tests positive for the virus and you've got people working around them or sharing a workspace? And this could be because you've got essential workers coming into the workplace, or because we eventually do go back to work, and this may still be something that we have to navigate. So one, make sure that they hear it from the top. Make sure that the top of the company, the key leadership, are communicating about this so they know that these decisions are not being taken lightly and that they all have to adhere to them. Balance optimism with realism. You want to make sure that you're sending a message of hope and possibility, but also tackling the very real data and concerns that are going on in the workplace. Protect the privacy of the people who may show up with positive test results. You should not be releasing names of anybody if they haven't consented in written form. Make sure that you're communicating immediately to prevent further spreading. You don't have to share the name of the person, but to share that somebody in the company has tested positive so that people start taking the right precautions. And what you can do is communicate ahead of time that you will communicate that so people don't have to walk around being paranoid or worried that they're not hearing something. Ensure extra precautions are a company-wide effort. Don't just target one department. One, that's probably going to call out someone's privacy. And two, you want to make sure that just because it happened in one department doesn't mean that you don't have to think about it across the company. Increase frequency of communications during times of positive test results. People are going to want to hear more information, and they'd rather hear the same thing if nothing's changed than hear nothing at all. Next, we're going to move into the morale side of things. This is Brene Brown, an author and speaker and researcher. And this quote is, leaders must either invest a reasonable amount of time attending to fears and feelings or squander an unreasonable amount of time trying to manage ineffective and unproductive behavior. A brave leader is someone who says, I see you. And this is critical during this time. A lot of times prioritizing morale building efforts took a back seat. Right now, we need to understand its current importance. So some tips there: make sure that you create a consistent schedule of virtual team meetings. People need to rely that they can get information on a regular basis. Conduct one-on-one check-ins with each team member. Everyone's got different situations, different levels of stress, and different levels of resiliency. Ensure the staff connects to feel a sense of workplace community. Create reasons for them to connect with one another. Operate with higher levels of compassion, kindness, and space for listening. This is not a normal time, and we have to put our judgments aside of people. We can't assume that everyone's handling the things the way that we would, and this is a time to have more patience with each other. Coordinate larger morale efforts across the company. When you're making an effort and connecting with people, if this is going beyond just a small team, you want to make sure that things are coordinated. One, so you're just not taking up all the resources, and two, so nobody's feeling left out or disconnected unnecessarily. And finally, consider the financial and employment needs of staff. Provide critical support where you can. Some steps to take would be to consider bringing in a financial advisor. This person might just be able to give people insight as to what they might be able to do with their 401k savings. What are the best steps to take? What are the risks involved with some of the other decisions? But just so they can get a handle at what options they have. Communicate regularly regarding the financial stability of the company itself, so they understand how all of this is impacting, and even if it's not the best news, they understand what's coming down the line. As a company, consider what creative measures can be taken to keep employees financially stable. And this may be leadership taking pay cuts or bypassing a paycheck if possible. It might be everybody taking a pay cut. It might be people cashing in their vacations to offset some of the costs. If unable to keep staff employed, make efforts to connect employees with opportunities. Bringing in resources to help them with resume writing, updating their LinkedIn profile, maybe even building connections with other companies or industries. Provide employment resources wherever possible. Reach out to your HR and see what's available. Finally, we've got some recommended reading. Dare to Lead by Brene Brown, Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last, Principles, Ray Dalio, and Low Men on the Totem Pole, H.V. MacArthur. All these books either help with the leadership steps that you have to take or could be a resource for employees. Please don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help, and you can reach us at theexecutiveadvisory.com, 818-907-1178. Please be safe and stay healthy.